Mr. Schlereth, you have a lot to live up to because the energy you brought last week coming off that Patriots game was phenomenal. So I need that again, and I need you, as a guy that has now seen Drake May and the Patriots in person 2 weeks ago, and I'm guessing saw what they did on Sunday Night Football, it feels like all the world is on the hype train for Drake May. Is the hype train getting too far ahead of itself, or is this legit? Greg Olsen said he looks like a guy who could end up as the best quarterback in football. Do you see that?
Okay, one, you'll get what you get, and you'll like it. Okay, that's the number one rule here, right? I'm the guest, and I'll bring whatever the hell I want to bring to your radio program. And then two, I'm gonna bypass that question for a second, right? But I'm gonna say I was calling a game when Brady played for Tampa, and I saw him in the guts of the guts of the stadium pregame because I just walked away from a camera meeting, right? And he's coming down the hallway, and I'm coming down the opposite way, and we meet each other about midway. And we say, hey, and I give him a hug, and he goes cheek to cheek with me. And I was like, as soon as he went cheek to cheek with me, I was like, I've just found the cure for ED because it was awesome. Like, this guy is amazing. And I thought the same thing as I watched Mike Vrabel dap everybody up and hug everybody up in that tunnel at whatever that stadium, I call it Rich Stadium, but whatever the hell that stadium is. So watching him dap the dudes up. Listen, I told you this about Mike Vrabel, and sometimes he can be a salty biatch, you know that. But the bottom line with this guy is he is absolutely a great coach. And you're going to win the line of scrimmage when Mike Vrabel is your coach because he demands it, because he understands how important it is, and that's exactly what they've done. Now to Drake May, he looks incredible. He looks incredible, and he's got a coach that understands how to develop a young quarterback. You can say whatever you want. Whatever you want. And it's probably all, like we call Josh McDaniels here in Denver Hurricane Josh because he came through and blew this thing up. But the bottom line is I love the guy. I think he's a phenomenal, and I mean phenomenal, offensive coordinator. And no matter who he touches at the quarterback position, that guy plays exceptionally well. And I tell you what, I told you guys, I thought if they just clean up their own mistakes, they're a playoff team. And I think they showed it the other night.
So, Stink, there's something that's sort of been on my mind ever since the game. We talked about it briefly yesterday, but I'd love to get your POV on this. How much of Sunday night do you believe was at the doing of the Patriots, and how much of that was because of how Buffalo played? As in, like, did the Patriots go and take that from them and roundly beat the Bills, or did the Pats play well enough when the Bills, to be quite honest, at times played poorly?
Yeah, well, I mean, I look at it like the Pats went in there with their game plan, executed it. And remember, man, they put the ball on the ground early. Stevenson put the ball on the ground again. Yep. And still to be able to overcome that and create, your opportunities for your own team. And all those things come to, like, it's the nuanced little things. It's the things that guys do exceptionally well. It's an amazing route run by a guy like Stephon Diggs. It's controlling line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively, even though you have short arms. Oh, my gosh, how are we ever going to play with short arms, right? The stupidity that comes out of draft monologues is just amazing to me. But to me, it's you went in to a hostile environment with a team that was running hot and on a heater, so to speak, and you went in there and handled your business. And like, you can't take that away from the New England Patriots. I can't downplay, well, Buffalo didn't play well. Well, you didn't play well because the other guys on the other side made you not play well.
Insider calls are brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. So 2 weeks ago or a week ago when we talked to you after the Panthers game, around here we were getting a lot of, yeah, but it's just the Panthers. Now you go out there and beat the last undefeated team in football. But we all know winning a couple games is one thing in the NFL. The next step is consistency. And suddenly people are looking at the upcoming schedule, and it's the Saints, and it's the Falcons, and it's the Browns, and people are penciling in wins. Is that the hardest evolution for a football team, to start to win all the expected games and not to have a let-up there when you're young?
Yeah, the let-up, that stuff is real. I mean, the bottom line is we like to act like guys aren't human, but guys are human, And so it is that, the mantra and the cliche of one game at a time and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, you got to put it together. I think the thing that you've got to really, you've got to understand is this is the National Football League. Everybody on here is professional football player. And, even though some teams are a little less talented, like the Carolina Panthers, I'll just tell you flat out, they're not as talented as some teams, but they still play professional football. And guys still have pride. They're still alpha males, right? And if you back them into a corner, they're going to come out swinging. And we've seen the Giants, beat the Chargers. We've seen New Orleans get a win. Like, we've seen this go down. So they're all professional, and this is not college football. I'm talking to Chip Kelly a couple of weeks ago, and Chip Kelly says this to me. He goes, "Listen, at Ohio State, he goes, on signing day we were 9-0. We're that much more talented than everybody else." And he goes, "The difference between the NFL and college football is NFL is situational." He goes, "Do you think our play sheet was about 4 plays long on third down because we were never in third down. We get first down and then it's second down and 2. Like, we don't hit third downs. And if we do, it's 3rd and 1." He goes, "So this league is completely different that way. There are no blind sisters of the poor. So you never apologize for beating somebody up. And ultimately, when you play a team like the Saints, you play those teams that, are struggling a little bit, maybe don't have their quarterback thing figured out. You have to go in there and step on the throats of those guys. And this is one thing I know about Mike Vrabel. He'll have his guys, regardless of who they play, ready to play. I believe that."
So we give a lot of love to Drake, obviously, for ascending into the top of the NFL quarterback play. Obviously, Stephon Diggs has been massive for him. Love for Josh, love for Vrabel. But are we giving enough credit to the fact that, let's go back to what you said at the start of this interview, Stink. The offensive line for the Patriots is really starting to come out on top more often than not and playing like one of the better units in the NFL. Like, there's cohesion, there's real team play on the offensive line, and they're winning more often than they're losing.
Yeah, they're being coached well. Obviously, you got 2, rookies starting on the left side. It's just such an important aspect. I honestly don't care who your quarterback is. We make such a big deal out of, wide receivers. And, I always say it. I said on the Think It Truth podcast the other day, I was like, they're like children. You realize, one, they're dependents, right? 10 other guys have to do their job for them to have success. And 2, they whine and they piss and they moan unless they get fed. So that's the position in general. But I don't care who your receivers are. Ask Cincinnati with their, superstar wide receivers, how's the season going right now? I don't care any of that stuff. If you can't block guys and you can't keep your quarterback upright and you take a ton of sacks, you do not win in the National Football League. And the other side of that equation is also true. If you can't dominate a line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the ball and they can. I think Milton Williams is phenomenal. The number 90 boy, the Barmore, is incredible. Like, they got great players, and they dominate. They dominate edges, and they dominate the middle of the line of scrimmage.
Mark, one of the reasons people think the Patriots can now make the playoffs is they're playing well. But the other reason is some of the teams that were supposed to be good in the conference look like they might not be. The Ravens losing record, Bengals losing record, Texans losing record, Chiefs losing record. Of those teams, which one do you think is in the most trouble? Which one of those teams is not going to be able to dig out of this hole?
Well, the Bengals have no chance, so we just throw them away. They don't know what they're doing over there. They just, from the top to the bottom, it's just a poorly run organization, so we kick them to the curb.
Even with Flacco now?
Yeah. What I used to say when I was playing, there's a couple of certainties in life, like death, taxes, and you'll beat the Cincinnati Bengals when you play against them. So those were certainties back in the day when I played. But I think the Ravens are in real trouble. I mean, the injury issues that they have, and let's just say that, 2 weeks from now or whatever, let's just say their quarterback comes back, Lamar Jackson comes back, but let's say that he's not, the 4-4 guy that he always is. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, man, we're going to be hesitant to run him on the quarterback, the zone read stuff or some of the RPO stuff, and we want to keep him off the edges. Like, that dramatically diminishes what you're good at. And so then what do you become as an offense? Like, I think they're in legitimate trouble. So, and I think the Chiefs are still a pretty damn good team. I think Jacksonville's probably one of those teams. I picked Jacksonville to win that division before the season started. And then I did game 1 of the season and watched them practice and watched what they got going on over there with Liam Cohen. And I thought, man, that's going to be a really good team. And Great come from behind win yesterday, but I still think at the end of the day, the Chiefs are going to rectify some things. They're going to figure some things out. They'll get Rashee Rice back. I think they'll be fine, and they'll be a playoff competitor in the AFC West. I think they'll still fight for that division crown.
And before we wrap it up here, which team is surprising you the most overall in the NFL, and who do you think is the best team right now between all 32?
Oh, the best team. That's like, Philly hasn't played well, and they've got drama. Obviously, they had a 7. Like, how do you have a 17-3 lead, and you give your running back, who's one of the most phenomenal athletes and one of the best players on the planet, one carry in the second half? That's coaching malfeasance. Like, what are you doing? I still think they're really good, though. I think Philly is really good. They've got to figure it out. And it almost felt like, you know what, we're going to try to appease our whiny little wide receiver who cries and he's more concerned about his numbers than he is about wins. So we're going to go ahead and give him the ball or try to feed him the ball. And you end up losing that game to the Broncos, which, you were kind of in control for 3 quarters. So I still think Philly's probably the best team, but man, it's close between everybody.
Mark, I got to let you know that we have this show streaming on Twitch, and there's a little chat there on the screen, and they really enjoyed you calling Mike Vrabel a salty biatch early in the show. And will there be more salty biatch talk on the Stinkin' Truth podcast this week?
Yeah, there's always a ton of that. Braves and I played against each other, so he can be. I love him, and I think he's a great coach. But he's got some of that type A personality that I talked about, as do I. So I think that stuff is great, and yeah, there's all kinds of talk. We're cruising, so make sure you check it out on YouTube, the Stinkin' Truth podcast.
Will do, Mark. Look forward to talking to you next week.
Sounds good, guys. Be well.
See ya.
Thank you, Stink.